Good morning, students of Standard 5. Today I'll be teaching you lesson number 1 in science, and the name of the lesson is Reproduction in Plants. All of us know that plants can reproduce. When I say reproduce, it means that a plant can give birth to a baby plant having the similar features or the same features or of the same species. There are ways in which a plant can give birth to another baby plant. Now, a plant can give birth to another baby plant either through the seeds or through the stem or through roots or through leaves. Now, let us study how these baby plants can develop through the seed. You have seen seeds in plant. You have seen seeds that are very small. For example, the mustard seed. It's too small and tiny. Then you go to the mango plant. You see the mango has a huge seed in it. Now these seeds are in different shapes and sizes and they can reproduce. Each seed has a covering. The outer covering of the seed is either called the skin of the seed or it is called the coat, the seed coat. That seed coat or the skin, it actually protects the inner seed in it. Inner seed, you have a seed inside that, it protects that seed. After that, you will find that from the seed, you will find that a baby plant grows. Now that part where the baby plant develops and grows into another plant is called as the embryo. You can see the embryo develops. From the embryo, you will find that a baby plant develops. Now then, you will find if you cut, for example, take a mango seed and cut it into two halves. You will find that the seed has an outer covering that has got tiny hair like structures on it, which is hard, but then you will find the inner part is fleshy. Now that fleshy part in the seed is called as the cotyledon, or it is called as the seed leaves. Now what does the cotyledon do? When this baby plant is growing in the embryo, it has to develop. It cannot prepare its own food. So this soft part, which is called as the cotyledon, it is like food that is given to the baby plant so that the baby plant can grow and can produce leaves. Once the leaves are produced, then it can manufacture its own food. It can make its own food. So the cotyledons protect the plant and stores food so that that baby or the young plant can grow. You will find that this cotyledon, you will find there will be one part which goes down to the ground and there's one part in the cotyledon which goes up. The part that goes down is called the root and the part that goes up is called the shoot. I'm sure all of you must have seen your mother soaking green gram and then soaking it for half a day. Then she takes out the green grams and then puts it and ties it in a cloth, and you will find that the very next day you'll find shoots coming out. You'll find that the shoots that come out are from the embryo. So the small plant that is going to be born is called as a seedling, and once these sprouts start coming out, it is called as sprouting or it is called as germination. Let's start with seed germination. When you talk about germination of the seed, when a seed gets water, air and warmth, automatically it starts to sprout. You will find a new plant growing. Now this new plant or growing of the new plant is called sprouting or it is called germination. For a seed to germinate, it requires air, warmth and water. Once a seed gets air, water and warmth, you will find that it starts sprouting and a new baby plant is growing. The baby plant, once it starts growing, it cannot manufacture its own food. So you have the soft part or the cotyledon in the seed that supplies food to the new baby plant until and unless you'll find the leaves of the plant develop and can manufacture its own food. Till then, the cotyledon supplies food to this embryo or to the new baby plant that has sprouted. If you take, for example, your mother soaks green gram and then she ties it into a cloth. She gives it enough of water, she ties it into a cotton cloth, and next day you'll find that it has sprouted. But then you look at all the green grams there. You'll find that some of them have sprouted and some of them have not sprouted. In the same way, you'll wonder as to why all the seeds must have got water, all the seeds must have got warmth, all of them might have got air. But then why did some of them sprout and germinate, whereas why did some of them not germinate? So there's a reason. So the reason may be that some may have got enough amount of water, some may not have got enough amount of air, or some may not have got enough amount of warmth, and that is why they have not sprouted. In this way, you'll find that not all the seeds can germinate. Some of them can be eaten by the birds, some of them can be eaten by insects, and some of them by other animals. So you'll find that all do not germinate and all do not sprout into plants. So very few stand a chance to germinate and grow. I'm sure you understood how germination or reproduction takes place through seed. Now let us study how reproduction takes place through a stem. Now if you take a potato and look at a potato, it has got small dots on it. They are called as the eyes of the potato. You take one part of that eye of the potato and put it under the ground and try growing it, it will sprout into a baby plant. Like that, you have examples of ginger. They are all plants that grow through underground stems. They are called as underground stem. The potato, the ginger, you put them under the earth and they can grow into a new plant. They are called underground stems. But then if you look at the onion grows through something called the bulb. And if you look at the lily and the garlic, they are also examples through which what is called as through the bulb, you'll find that a new plant is reproduced. These are called underground stems. If you think about a rose plant or a hibiscus plant or a money plant, you just have to cut a part of it and put it onto the ground, and you'll find that very soon you'll find shoots, or you'll find a new leaf coming out of the shoot. Now these plants are said to be grown through a stem. Just a part of it. Take a money plant also. Take a part of it and just plant it somewhere. You'll find that this climber or starts growing, and you'll find roots, and you'll find that new leaves have started coming from the money plant. There are some other kinds of stems which are called as runners. These stems, they are like creepers that fall on the ground, get buried under the soil, and then you'll find that they slowly develop roots, and where the roots develop, you'll find that new leaves grow and it grows into a new plant. For example, they're saying these runners examples are mint, strawberry, then you'll find grass. Grass also grows through runners. Plants can reproduce from roots. Now take for example, you have the sweet potato, then you have a flower called the dahlia flower, which has a potato behind, a bulb down below, and you just have to plant them and then you'll get new plants from them. So these are the plants that grow from the roots. There are some plants that grow from the leaves. If you've seen a plant called the bryophyllum, it develops from, you'll find that if the leaf just falls down, from the leaf itself new plants start growing. It is just from the leaf new baby plants are reproduced and they grow into baby plants, new plants. So from the leaf of a bryophyllum, you will find that new plants have grown. There are plants that grow from spores and cones. Now some plants are non-flowering plants. They don't have any flowers, so they don't have any seeds. Now for example, you have a plant called the fern. I put a picture of the fern. The fern reproduces through something called the spores. Then you have a pine tree, like the Christmas tree. They give birth, they reproduce pine cones, and from that pine cone you will find that new plants reproduce. Till now you have learned how reproduction takes place through the stem, to the root, through the leaf, and through the seed, and through spores and cones. So now let us move on to how dispersal of seeds take place. When I say dispersal of seeds, means how these seeds get scattered from the plant. It is how the seeds get scattered. There are different ways in which a seed gets scattered. Now this scattering of seed is called as dispersal of seed. Dispersal of seed or scattering of seeds can take place by wind, by water, by animals, and by explosion of the fruit. Now let us study in detail as to how these seeds get scattered. Now take for example, let us start with wind dispersal. How a seed is scattered by wind. The seeds that can be dispersed by the wind, they are very small, they are light, and sometimes you'll find them having hair, or they'll be very flat in kind. So when they are very light, automatically the wind can just blow and take them to different areas, and wherever it goes and settles down, there it sprouts and becomes into another plant. So example for the wind dispersal is the dandelion and the maple seed. They are examples that have light seeds and that can fly with the air, and that can be dispersed by the wind. There are seeds that can move on the water and can scatter with the help of water. For example, the coconut. If it is thrown into the water, you will find that it doesn't get soaked in the water. It is like waterproof, and it can float in the water. And wherever the water becomes less, you will find that the coconut can go and get deposited there. Then it will get covered by the soil, and automatically it goes and grows into a coconut tree. If you look at the beaches, at the side of the beaches, you find a lot of coconut trees. Do you think man has planted the coconut trees? No, it is not at all. It is the coconuts have been floating on the water and then being dispersed by the water, and that's how they have landed beside the beaches. There are certain seeds that can be scattered by animals. For example, when you're walking in the field, you'll find that certain seeds get stuck up to your clothes. So those seeds which have kind of a hook or a rough kind of a character on it, it sticks up to your dress, and then automatically you dust it and it falls out to different places. The same thing happens when a cow or a buffalo is grazing in the field, and then you'll find that these seeds get stuck up to the body of the animal, and then as it walks around, it falls off. So that's how animals try and disperse certain seeds that have got hooks on them. Sometimes you'll find the birds picking up the fruits and going on top of your building and eating it, and eating the fruit and throwing the seed there. So that is one way. And another way in which the seed can be dispersed. Another way in which a seed can be dispersed is by the animal is when an animal eats a fruit, it eats it with the seed, and then when it the shit comes out with the seed. It's called as the droppings of the bird or the animal. So in the droppings of the birds or the animals, you'll find those seeds. Then those seeds can germinate from the droppings of the bird or the animal, and then sprout and grow into a big tree. And this is called as animal dispersal. Now you have the last one called the explosive dispersal. Explosive dispersal is you have a plant like the cotton plant. You'll find that it is like a bud. Once it develops, you'll find the whole bud blasts open. It explodes, and you'll find the seeds are scattered around. Like that, you have another plant called the balsam plant, which has got bulbs like thing in it. And when it grows, you'll find that bulb bursts. You can hear sounds of that balsam plant where it bursts open and the seeds are scattered. So these are called as explosive dispersal. The next topic is growing plants for agriculture. Plants that are grown in large numbers for their product are known as crops. When you practice growing crops for the sake of food or for any other purpose, it is called as agriculture. Crops can be divided into 4 kinds. It can be food crops, it can be fiber crops, it can be beverage crops, or it can be oil yielding crops. When you say food crops are crops like rice, wheat, potato. You use it for the sake of food. Even grains and vegetables and fruits all come under food crop. When you say fiber crop is what is used to make clothing. So like jute and cotton, they are used to make fiber. So they are called as fiber crops. When you say oil yielding crops is the crops that give out oil. Now take for example, you have mustard oil. You have to grow mustard so that you can get mustard oil. You have to grow groundnuts so that you get groundnut oil. You grow sunflower so that you can get sunflower oil. So they are called as oil yielding crops. Then you have beverage crops. Beverage means drinks. Drinks, when I say, it can be tea, it can be coffee, it can be chocolate drinks. When you say beverages, it means the crops that are grown so that we can have something to drink like tea or coffee. Those are called as beverage crops. Different crops need different weather and different soil conditions. Based on the weather, based on the soil conditions, you can grow your crops. Now take for example, if you want to grow rice. Rice needs a lot of water. It needs a soil that is kind of a clay kind of a soil that has clay in it. Like that, you'll find it can be grown only during a monsoon season. It can be grown where when do you get a lot of water? Rainy season, when you'll have a lot of water. So during that time, you'll find that the rice can be grown. Now, when you talk about bajra and the other kind of millets, they require less water. They need sandy soil, not much water. When you talk about tea and coffee, they need water, but they do not want water to be standing. So they are grown on hillsides. For growing of rice on hillsides, there's one method of farming called terrace farming. For terrace farming, what they do, they go on the hill, they make the land flat, they level the land, and then they make it like steps. They cut it like steps, and they do not want the water to flow down. On a mountain, if you pour water, it flows down fast. So they make it like steps, and that is called as terrace farming. In India, you'll find that there are two types of seasons or crops, two types of crops. It depends on what kind of a season and when it is grown. The crops that are grown in summer season are called as kharif crops. The crops that are grown in winter season are called as rabi crops. Remember, summer it is called as kharif crops, winter is called as rabi crops. Now, for example, when I say summer crops, you will find that rice, maize, and tomato, plum, and lychee, and some vegetables which grow in the summer season are called as kharif crops. When it comes to winter crops or the rabi crops, you will find crops like wheat, barley, gram, radish, peas, cauliflower. They are examples of rabi crops. Have you ever been to a field, or have you ever seen a farmer working in his field? Do you know the steps that take place in agriculture? So you will find that when the farmer starts his work in order to make his field ready to grow his crops, the first thing he does is he plows the field. You'll find two cows and he'll be loosening the soil. He loosens the soil. So the first stage is he plows the field. The next step is he fertilizes the soil. He fertilizes, either he puts natural fertilizers like manure to the soil so that the soil, once it gets fertile, then the crops will grow well. After fertilizing the soil, then he starts putting the seeds. So it is called as sowing. He sows the seed. After sowing the seed, the next step, the fourth step is he puts water. He sees that the plant gets enough amount of water, and that is called as irrigation. After that, as the plant starts growing bigger, you know that insects start attacking it. So in order that the insects don't attack it, he starts spraying pesticides. So the fifth step is he sprays pesticide. The next step is the crops have grown and now he has to remove the crops, and that is called as harvesting. That is all you have in today's lesson.